Democratic Congresswoman Jasmine Crockett of Dallas, thank you so much and welcome back to Ion Politics.
Absolutely.
So, your reaction to the three-judge panel at federal court in El Paso striking down these new 2025 congressional maps drawn and approved by Republicans. The judges said there was, quote, substantial evidence of racial gerrymandering.
Yeah, Jack, you and I have talked about this along with I've always made it clear that this was racial, and I know that some people want to run away from the race element, but the law protects it. We know that our Constitution recognizes and protects it, and that's why it was really important to understand that the state of Texas is 61% people of color. And so giving, that much power to the 39% to the extent that we were going to have so few seats that could be chosen by the people that actually make up the state of Texas. It just wasn't right. Now, I want people to understand that the fight is not over, and that this is not final. This was a temporary injunction. And so that means that these lines are enjoined in this moment in an emergency way because the harm would be irreparable if they were allowed to go forward based upon the allegations that the plaintiffs were bringing forward in this case, which is that there will be a dilution of the voices of people of color in this state, whether they were Black or brown.
And as you know, Governor Abbott has come out calling the ruling erroneous and saying the state of Texas is going to swiftly appeal directly to the U.S. Supreme Court. How do you respond to that? And how concerned are you that the Supreme Court may act differently than the lower court?
Yeah, so this is a hard one for me because I am someone who does not believe in this Supreme Court and thinks that this Supreme Court, unfortunately, is a lot more partisan than we have seen historically. I will tell you this, though, because this was not a final ruling on the ultimate legality of the map, and this was just a temporary injunction. I think that the chances of anything happening between now and our filing deadline of December 8th, I think it may be a little slim. I mean, the Supreme Court has bigger things to deal with than what a lower court took 150 pages to write about. So I've not come through the entirety of the opinion, but we also know that it wasn't just a lower court. We're talking about a three-judge panel, and we know that two of those judges were appointed by Republicans. So this isn't some far lefty liberal court that we're talking about. We're talking about a conservative majority that stuck to the facts. And, there is a portion of that opinion that specifically talks about basically this Department of Justice messed up when they specifically sent that letter threatening Texas that they were going to sue them for their illegal coalition districts, which were minority districts. And that was an erroneous statement of the law. And as we have seen time and time again with this administration and this Department of Justice, they have no understanding of what it looks like to actually follow and abide by the law. And they frankly are the ones that really shot themselves in the foot by saying the quiet part out loud. And that's exactly why they have been temporarily enjoined.
So let me ask you, because the judges said going forward, for now, the 2021 maps are going to be used for the 2026 midterm elections.
Yeah.
And so are you going to run for reelection in the 30th district, or have you made a decision about whether you're going to run for U.S. Senate?
I will tell you that I still have not made up my mind. Everyone thinks that I'm just holding a secret in, but our poll is in the field right now. We are supposed to get that polling back by the end of the week or early next week. I said I would decide by Thanksgiving. I will tell you that it weighs heavily on me that these lines are still in place. One of the reasons that I was so upset is because I knew that they were trying to minimize the power and the voices of the people. And this has never been about me. Ultimately, if that polling comes back and says that there's any Democrat that has a chance of winning in the way that I think we can win Texas, then I am going to support whoever that is. I am testing for the two other major candidates that are in this race, and I am going to be transparent and open up my polling, my internal polling that I spent a lot of money on. I'm going to open it up to them because this isn't about me. None of this should be about any individual. It would be really, really, really hard for me now, knowing that my district is still at least in its current configuration, and knowing that my district absolutely wants me to continue to represent them wholly. It would be really, really hard. But at the end of the day, if the numbers are strong, that I am our best shot, then it's bigger than my district. It's bigger than the state of Texas. This is about the country because we know if we can change the Senate map in this country, then that's where we start to get wins. That's when we get another Voting Rights Act so we can prevent and preclude states like Texas doing things that are absolutely against the will of the people in the state by enacting mid-decade redistricting that we know is nothing more than a racial ploy to take away our power.
But to be clear, your poll would have to show that you can win a general election for
Yes.
U.S. Senate, not just primary.
No, I'm not even really testing for primary, if I'm being perfectly honest. We've seen enough third-party polls to believe that we'll be okay in a primary. Obviously, I would run and run hard, but the trends are clear as it relates to a primary. I am most concerned about who is best suited in the general election and not running a general election and saying, oh, we're going to get all these Republicans to cross over. I don't believe in this mythical crossover. If there was ever a time to cross over, it would have been when we had a 34 count convicted felon that was running for the presidency. And we did not see crossover. I believe that we need to engage people that have felt like neither party necessarily has ever been their voice, people that have felt like they have always been ignored. I think that this is more so about going to people that feel like they've never really had a voice or had somebody to see them. And so my question is different in normal polling. They terminate your poll if you say you don't plan to vote in the next election. Our questioning is about, well, you're not planning on voting. But would you vote if this name was on the ballot, or if this name was on the ballot, or if this name was on the ballot? And if we can see a trend that actually makes sense, and we're seeing what we typically have not tested for when we ended up with the Trump phenomena, or even when we ended up with the Obama phenomena, they were able to both bring out people that historically did not vote. I think that's the only way that we win in Texas is if we have a candidate that can add to the electorate. If the electorate remains the same electorate that we've had over the last 30 years, then I think we're going to end up with the same result.
Congresswoman Jasmine Crockett, thank you so much. We appreciate it.
Absolutely. Have a good one, Jack.
You as well. Thank you.